Beelstarmon and the Three Musketeers composes a very unique playstyle and strategy unlike anything we've seen before for the Digimon card game. It combines security control elements that will constantly delete your opponent's Digimon along with purple trashing mechanics to load up as resources. However, these are not the only two reasons why this deck is so good and considered to be tier 1 for the BT6 format. This is why we will be diving deeper into this archetype for today's video. Hello Digimon players and fans, welcome back to another new deck profile video. Today we'll be featuring a detailed guide for the Three Musketeers deck. But first and foremost, I would like to kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel right now. This is because we got lots of Digimon TCG content with lots more videos coming up. Also, don't forget to give this video a like as it greatly helps with the YouTube algorithm. To give you guys a quick introduction, Beelstarmon, Gundramon, and Magna-Kidmon are basically the Three Musketeers of Digimon. Although the three of them have completely different colors, they're all intended to be played all together in a single deck. They synergize with each other through the variety of 7-cost option cards that supports the core of the deck as well. The deck has an unusual build strategy, different to the traditional way of building Digimon stack with inherited effects by digivolving. It plays very similarly to a security style deck with a large number of option cards that can be either activated from the security or through other Digimon effects. The main win condition is to control the board while chipping your opponent's security away and eventually swing for game. But the major difference is combining the trashing nature of purple along with it, where your options and Digimon being in trash becomes a useful resource for the deck. That is simply because Beelstarmon and a few other cards can take advantage of it. Overall, it is no surprise that this deck excels greatly during the late game, just like any purple deck would. The cohesiveness and consistency of this deck allows it to uniquely play and thrive, which works very well. This is why it is currently at tier 1. We'll also go into detail with each individual card explaining optimally how to play them. So let's get right into it. As always, let's begin with the Digi-Egg cards. Now the first main one that we play is the 4 Demi-Meramons right here, simply because it's still one of the best purple eggs out there to play. On deletion, basically get to draw one and trash one, sending resources to your trash is just great, and also cycling through your deck to get more cards and giving the draw power overall is just always the fantastic egg that you always want to play. And like I mentioned, that since this deck really focuses on trashing, the other one I like to play is one Pagumon, which on deletion simply get to trash the top 2 cards of your deck. And you know, this also just combos very well and nicely with the whole mechanic and the idea of goal of trashing as many cards as you want. So that'll be the Digi-Egg cards. Now let's start off with our rookies, and we do play quite a handful of them. So first off right here we have the brand new Impmon from BT6. Now this new Impmon is really good because you will always want to hard play this as much as you can when you usually do, because its on play effect is that you get to trash one card from your hand and add one of your 3 Musketeers or 7 Great Demon Lords, which we don't play any of in this deck anyways, but mainly your 3 Musketeers back from your trash back to your hand, so then you can keep your resources and recycle back your resources and then play them for later on afterwards, which is really good. And this card is actually not as great as early game, but mid game and late game is much better. Next we have the other Impmon, which is the original one from BT2. Now this one is more of the early game one, which is because it has a on deletion trash top 3 cards of your deck. So this one's the one that you actually want to digivolve on top of your egg usually, and it combos very nicely with your Demi-Meramon because you would want to bring it up and then basically use it to swing into your opponent's security, have it deleted, and then you can trash top 3, and then you can draw 1 and trash 1 from your hand as well, instantly giving you 4 cards in your trash, which is always a fantastic way to play. So this one you definitely want to digivolve more. Next we have Labramon. This one is more of an on play, hard play Digimon. Right here, all it does is on play, you get to draw one and trash one, exactly what Demi-Meramon does, and essentially, but it's just on play and you don't have to have it to be deleted, which is fantastic. And then afterwards, you will use this card to chip your opponent's security to set up for lethal, basically. Now moving on to the next one. This one's very interesting because this card came out in BT4. And we haven't seen much play of it until now, as it synergizes very well with the Three Musketeers decks, which is Soundbirdmon, and we play 3 copies of it. It simply has a when attacking, and then you basically get to pitch one of your option cards from your hand to the trash, and then you get to gain a memory. Very versatile, very nice card to have for different scenarios, and filling up your trash with those 7 cost options is just very beneficial for you overall. Again, this card would be more of a digivolving card, where you can digivolve on top of it, move it up, and then sort of swing in for those security checks and helping you add resources to your trash. This is why I like the Soundbird line. And then last but not least, we have the 2 Gazimons right here. Like I mentioned before, memory boosting, memory gaining effects are such a big thing in this current meta, and Gazimon is just the perfect Digimon to sort of counter that as well. That will round up for all of our rookies, and let's go into our level 4s. Now, talking about our level 4s first is that it has a very different, unique play style overall. We don't really digivolve that much generally with our level 4s. So the first one we have is Deputymon, and you guys might be sort of amazed or a little bit shocked why you're playing a black Digimon in a purple deck. Well, Three Musketeers is mixed colors anyways to begin with, so this doesn't really matter. And Deputymon is a Digimon you will always want to hard play. You can't digivolve it anyways because we don't play any black level 3s, but yes, because we want to utilize its on play effect to basically search our top 4 cards, add a Digimon with 3 Musketeers to our hand, and or add a 7 cost option to our hand as well, which is really nice, and getting our searching and cycling of resources going and digging deep into our deck. Now, the other reason why this card is really good is because once you add your 3 Musketeers, it has a your turn. It can basically jump Digivolve into a level 6, which is a 3 Musketeers directly for a cost of 6. And that's really great because your usual targets would be Gundramon and Magna Kidmon, which we get to talk more about later on when we read their effects. But you know, that's your priority, and never ever Digivolve this into a Beelstarmon. Never. And I'll talk about it more in detail why not to do so later, but this is why Deputymon is just really good and really core. You must play a 4 of in this deck. Next, we have our usual blockers. We have the 2 Vilemons, which is our 6k blocker, also 5 to hard drop, which is really nice. We rarely want to digivolve this anyways, but if we can, because just so that we can get the digivolve draw, not too bad. But 6k blocker is just really relevant, really important in this format, like I mentioned multiple times, because that's the sweet number that cannot be deleted, cannot be removed easily overall. Now moving to our other level 4s, we have the more of the tech choices, and these tech choices we don't really want to digivolve once again. We want to hard play these guys in the most cases. So we first have one Ogremon right here, which came out new for BT6 and has a great effect because you just on play, you get to trash 1 card from your hand and to delete a level 4 or lower opponent's Digimon. And really good for getting rid of blockers, really good at getting rid of like just other like annoying rookies in general, whatever you need depending on the situation, which is fantastic. So really digivolve this card. Next we have Ginkakumon Promote, and we also play as a one-off tech. Now Ginkakumon Promote does a lot of different things. However, the really main thing you just need to focus on is this rush capability, because we have a lot of Digimon effects and different card effects that sort of bring this back from the trash, and we can sometimes utilize the rush in the same turn if we have the same memory and go for an extra swing, which is really nice. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the 3 Musketeers sort of deck building style is very unusual and very different. So to let you guys know, there are no level 5s in this deck whatsoever, and we're just going to jump straight into the level 6s, and let's showcase you guys the 3 Musketeers, the core main boss Digimon of this deck. So we first off have the 4 copies of Beelstarmon right here, and Beelstarmon is basically you must play a 4 of. You want to see this card as much as you can because this is the whole reason why you play this deck to begin with. Everything revolves around her, cycles back towards her, and the whole synergy that she basically combines it with all your options and all the Digimon you play together is the reason so that it can bring her out really easily. Now, she has a Digivolve cost of 3. And we don't play any level 5, so you don't digivolve it, but also you would never ever digivolve this card on top of anything, because digivolving will not give you any value for this card, even if you were to digivolve it on top of Deputymon. The idea behind this card is that you want to hard play her, and she has a hard play cost of 12, and you're just thinking, man, that's a lot to pay, and it's just not very nice. Well, that's the whole reason why you're trashing cards and adding resources to your graveyard, is because she can utilize any cards in the trash that has 3 Musketeers or any 7 cost options, and that will, for each one of those cards, it would decrease her play cost by 1. So if you have 7 of those cards in total, you can make her play cost up to 5 basically. And then there's some situations in the very late game, you can even make her at basically cost only 1 or even 0, which is really crazy, because now what you do is afterwards, when you hard play this card, it has an on play effect. And what she does is that you can add 1 option back, which is 7 cost, back to your hand, and you can play a option that is 7 cost from your hand, meaning that you can play another one if you would like to, or you can play the exact one that you basically added back from your trash, giving you a lot of versatility. And filling up your trash with all those different 7 cost options gives you that adaptability for the certain situation what you want to do. Remove your opponent's Digimon, get rid of other stuff, or play more cards, whatever you want to do, which is why she's really important. So once again, play 4 of, no less. So that will be it for Beelstarmon, and moving on to the other 3 Musketeers we have right here is Gundramon. Gundramon is a blocker, which is really nice. Really nice to see this in the early game. You would rarely want to hard play it, but sometimes you have to if you can't do anything. What you really want to prefer to do is basically Digivolve this card on top of Deputymon. And like I mentioned, the blocker being able to be there in the early game can sit there and stop your opponents from swinging into you, which is really nice. And that's what Gundramon is really there for. Now, the reason why you want to usually Digivolve this card on top of Deputymon is to utilize its when Digivolving effect, because when you do so, you review the top 5 cards of your deck and you can basically use 1 7 cost option among them, which is really nice. And comboing it with all the 7 cost options that we play in this deck, which we'll get more in detail and showcase you guys later, it just works very well and synergizes very greatly. Not only that, you can trash all the rest of the cards into the trash, and you know, if you have more 7 options that you reviewed or other 3 Musketeers, it really benefits and helps get you to basically build even more of those to reduce the cost for Beelstarmon, which is great. However, if you don't, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that has a play cost of 4 or less, which is kind of nice and sometimes handy, but usually you want to be able to resolve the first effect, and Gundramon is why you play that. Next, for the other, or the last 3 Musketeers card, we have the 2 Magna Kidmons right here. Now, this is a red Digimon, but we never Digivolve it once again on top of any level 5s of red, and it basically has security +1. We mainly want to Digivolve it on top of Deputymon, just like Gundramon, so we can utilize its when Digivolving effect. And similar to Gundramon, instead of sort of revealing the 5 cards, you can basically just play an option card with 7 costs in your hand without paying its memory cost, straight up. And if you don't, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon that is 4,000 DP or less. Although I kind of prefer, I think it would be nicer if they could let us delete like a 5,000 or less. That would be much more preferable, and I would like to see that. I think that would be, you know, make this card a little bit better. But anyways, generally, because of its security +1, it's great for the early game as well. So then when you Digivolve it onto the Deputymon, you can swing in for multiple checks, and if it does survive, you know, you can swing in again the next turn again, which is really nice, and really, you know, setting up yourself on your opponents so that you can go for lethal later on in the game, and you just, you know, have a lot of power and pressure applied overall, which is why I like to play the 2 Magna Kidmons right here. That will be all of our level 6s, and now let's talk about the level 7s. And we do play level 7s. We mainly first play the 2 Omnimon Zwarts, and I really like this card in general because we can Digivolve on top of Beelstarmon, and actually all of our level 7s we intend to Digivolve on top of Beelstarmon. The reason is because Beelstarmon has great on-play effects, and that's about it. You know, once she's there, she doesn't really offer any more value that's long-term. She doesn't do anything that's, you know, on the board other than being like an 11k beater by herself. So this is why Omnimon Zwart comes in very nicely, because you can top off on top of her and then utilize Omnimon Zwart's effect. You can go wide and start trashing, adding more resources, And then this is where you can start playing your Ginkakumon promotes. You can, for the rush ability, you can play the Ogremons to pop your opponent's level 4 Digimon. You can also set up your Valmon blockers or play any of your rookies depending on the situation of whatever you need. And the really nice thing, it also mills 3 cards, and it just gives you more resources in your trash overall. And then next, it's when attacking effect just works very well overall, because when you do attack, you can return the Beelstarmon underneath it back to your hand, so you can set up and get ready to use her once again, whether in the same turn or next turn, which is really fantastic. And this is why I think Onimon's Word fits very well for this deck. Next, we do have one more level 7, and I like to play one Millenniumon right here. I just think it's a very nice tech, a different option, different choice to go for a level 7. Millenniumon is just great when you need to quickly address like a powerful stack or a powerful Digimon that your opponent has on the board immediately by spinning it back to the bottom of the deck. It can also float with its on deletion by coming back and, you know, sort of have a really strong 13k beater on there. On the board, so that you can do more security checks safely, and it just works out very well overall with this deck as well. And again, you always want to digivolve these guys on top of your Beelstarmon. That will be all of our level 7s, and now let's move on to our Tamers and options. For Tamers first, we only just play the one single Matt Ishida purple. Setting the memory to 3 is nice, however, this deck is actually very forgiving, and it doesn't always require needing the 3 memory, unlike most other decks. You don't digivolve a whole lot, and you hard play a lot of stuff, and passing that memory to your opponent is not too bad in most cases, because you still get value from whatever you're doing. But it's nice that Matt Ishida gives you that memory start at 3, which is great. And also sometimes being able to, later in the game, you can add your purple or one purple option card back from your trash back to your hand, so you can use it again, which is kind of nice and handy, but one is just always good. Well, let's move into our option cards, and all the option cards we play are 7 costs basically, and that's the whole reason to synergize with Beelstarmons, to synergize with the entirety of the deck, so we don't play anything else but 7 cost option cards. Now let's talk about the 3 Musketeer ones first. The first one we have is Fly Bullet, and this one is Beelstarmon's signature move. It basically has a first effect where if you have a 3 Musketeers on the board, you can use this option card without meeting the color requirements, which is really nice, meaning that if you have Gundramon or Magna-Kidmon, you can still use it and synergizes very well with their effects. Fly Bullet simply deletes one of your opponent's level 6 Digimon instantly, and it's just really nice because level 6 Digimons are basically the everything of the game, the boss Digimon of all, and you know, being able to just delete one simply for free like this is just really good, especially when you can play this card for free, comboing it very nice with Beelstarmon overall. Also has a very nice security effect, allowing you to activate it as well for free. Next we have Gewalt Schwarmer right here. Now Gewalt Schwarmer is Gundramon's signature move. And once again, it has the same ability of being able to be played without meeting color requirements as long as you control a 3 Musketeers. This one deletes all Digimon with play cost 7 or less. And this one can backfire at you sometimes, so be careful and be cautious when you use this. But in many situations, you can board wipe your opponent because when they're trying to go wide, very little Digimon other than their level 5s and their 6s would have 7 costs or more essentially, or 8 costs or more basically, and everything else will get wiped. The security effect, you basically add it to your hand, which is kind of handy, so you're not forced to use it all the time, which is great. Next we have Happy Bullet Shower, which is Magna-Kidmon's signature move right here. Once again, you don't have to forgo, you can basically skip the color requirements if you have a 3 Musketeers. And this one basically allows you to delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. This one's great for, you know, taking out rookies. If they have many of them, that's like 3k or 2k, multiple of them, that's when you get your value off of it. Or even better is if your opponent only has level 6s or level 5s or big Digimon, and that's all they have, and they all have the same DP, then you get to basically board wipe their level 6s or 7s, which is really good and very handy depending on the situation when you play. So also, the security effect, you basically get to activate it for free, which is also really nice. That will be all of our 3 Musketeers related options. Moving into the more regular typical options, we have the very old classic Trump sword, which is one of the other best purple 7-cost options. We mainly play it because it has the 7-cost option, just works very well with this deck, allowing you to delete a unsuspended Digimon. Security effect allows you to activate the effect as well, and a lot of stuff unsuspend right now, and being able to, you know, surprise your opponent and delete their unsuspended stuff is just really good. You can sometimes get a huge stack out of the way simply with this card, and it's just really nice. Last but not least, we don't have a removal type of option. We actually have Nail Bone, which makes a comeback, and this card was released in the Venomous Violet starter deck. The reason why, again, this card works very well is because of its 7 cost. And this card, I like to treat it essentially as basically another Zwart for us, but free, because if we use it along with like Beelstarmon's effect and the other Three Musketeers for free, then you get to bring back a level 3 and a level 4 Digimon back. Once again, relaying back to that, bring back Gingakumon Promote for the rush, or Envilemon for blockers, or any of your purple rookies. And this one's specifically different, you can only bring back purple stuff. But, you know, our purple rookies to help us basically do more stuff. However, the only downside is there's no on-play effects on this. It also has a security effect allowing you to play 1 level 4 purple Digimon back from your trash as well. So this is why we play this card. That will conclude for my very own deck building strategy and guide for the Three Musketeers deck. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or even questions, be sure to share with them with everyone in the comments down below. We got lots more deck profiles coming out, so be sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video. This is AVAULT, signing out.